The party froze after one perfect chime of glass. My father held his tumbler high, the scotch glowing like liquid gold beneath a chandelier big enough to blind you. To my son, Caleb, the heir to Ridgewater estate. 50 guests erupted. Laughter, applause, the fake kind that sticks to your skin. Caleb grinned, smug as a royal in a borrowed crown. Behind them, in the shadow of the bookshelf, I pressed a single manila envelope to my chest. My smile? Sharp enough to draw blood. Then I looked at Marcus, the family lawyer, and dropped 4 words that iced the room. You really don't know, do you? The music choked. Father's face flushed raw meat red. What? What's that supposed to mean? If only he knew, one document inside this envelope could turn every deed in Ridgewater to ash. My name's Megan, 29, the so-called spare. For the last decade, I haven't been a daughter. I've been an unpaid algorithm with a heartbeat. While they toasted profits, I was plugging leaks, literally and financially. 80-hour weeks fighting zoning boards who smelled money in our last name. Crawling through mud at 3 a.m. when a pipe burst under the guest lodge while my father slept across the lake. And Caleb? Oh, he was on business trips. Translation: Vegas tabs, Aspen hangovers, co-abute recovery. Yet somehow every completed project earned him the applause. They thought they were using me keeping the spare mechanical and grateful. But while I patched pipes, I studied blueprints, not of buildings, but of power. I learned codes, contracts, back doors in the law. That's the funny thing about being invisible. You overhear everything. You learn exactly where to strike when the time comes. I used to think they hated me. They didn't. Hate takes effort. They just never saw me. I was furniture, Wi-Fi with legs. Necessary, silent, replaceable, until tonight. Because here's what they forgot. A spare might sit quietly on the shelf, but it's still fully charged. And once it sparks, everything burns. The secret in this envelope isn't just revenge. It's liberation, mine, and maybe Mrs. Higgins's too. But to understand how I got it, we need to rewind exactly 7 days. That's when the spark caught the fuse. 7 days earlier, he tried to remind me I was just equipment. He should have known machines can malfunction, especially the kind that bite back. 1 week earlier, my father's study smelled like cedar, power, and 80-proof arrogance. The snow outside Lake Argent shimmered against glass walls big enough to make God feel small. He lounged behind his desk, swirling scotch, while I stood holding a folder fat with quarterly reports. Another record-breaking profit quarter thanks entirely to me. I inhaled once, steady. Dad, I'm not asking for the world. Just 10% equity, a share, recognition for what I've built. He blinked, genuinely puzzled, as if the coffee maker had requested a pay raise. Equity? A laugh burst out of him, dry and mean. Megan, you don't get equity. You get a roof. It's reward enough. I made those numbers happen, I said, voice trembling in a way that disgusted me. You didn't even... Glass slammed the desk. Scotch splashed his wrist. You earned? He snapped. I fed you. I educated you. I paid for those braces you begged for. He leaned forward, eyes glinting with the geometry of control. You're not a partner. You're an investment. And I expect my investments to perform, not negotiate. Each word landed heavy, metallic. He wasn't yelling anymore. He didn't need to. His math erased me. I stayed silent until silence became armor, then I walked out. He thought I'd gone upstairs to cry. Instead, I went to my office, unlocked the safe, pulled out the envelope, the one marked in my handwriting 3 years earlier. Back then, I'd started recording every shady transfer, every forged signature, every off-book loan to Caleb's bad habits. I wasn't hoarding receipts. I was armoring up. You want an investment return, Father? Fine. I'll make sure you get one on paper, in public, and with interest. Out the window, snow kept falling, soft and soundless, the calm before combustion. Down by the servants' cottages, I spotted a light in one window, Mrs. Higgins, the woman my grandmother promised a home for life. She used to bring me peppermint tea when I worked late, muttering that Eleanor's grandchildren had wolves' eyes. The old woman had seen everything, even when she pretended not to. I promised her once she'd always have heat in winter. I intended to keep that promise. I closed the safe, pocketed the envelope, and whispered the truth out loud for the first time. They built a dynasty on my back. It's only right I decide when it falls. He called me equipment, but equipment can short-circuit, spark, and burn down the whole building. Wait till you see how the voltage hits. The night of the celebration arrived sharp as broken glass. By dusk, the Lake Argent mansion glowed like a ship made of money, music, perfume, and lies leaking from every doorway. Downstairs, staff rushed sparkling trays past marble columns. Upstairs, I slipped that manila envelope into my clutch. Calm. Nearly euphoric. For the first time in my life, I felt peace, like the silence before a storm that already knows its path. "Make sure the champagne's cold," Father barked at someone. That voice still triggered the old reflex. Freeze, obey, disappear. Not tonight. The clock struck 8. Time to detonate. I descended the staircase. Cameras flashed. Caleb in his tailored arrogance leaned on the grand piano, laughing too loud. Our father lifted his glass, the same scotch, the same line, only now it sounded rehearsed. To my son, Caleb, the heir to Ridgewater. The party froze after one perfect chime of glass. I stepped forward, my voice slicing through the applause. "Before you finish that toast, Dad, we need to fix one tiny detail." Heads turned, phones lifted, the kind of silence you can feel on your teeth. He frowned. "Megan, don't do this." "Hey, but I will." I moved to the center of the room, heels steady on polished wood. "See? You've been toasting a man who doesn't own what he thinks he does." Laughter flickered around the room, nervous, brittle. Caleb smirked, playing to the crowd. "Still bitter, sis?" "Just accurate," I said. I placed the envelope on the nearest table, slid it open. Paper slid out crisp as confession. "These," I said, fanning the pages, "are the real deeds. Filed 3 years ago. Grandma's signature, county stamp, everything in legal ink." The lawyer, Marcus, stepped closer, eyes narrowing. He checked one, then another. His face drained, colorless under chandelier light. "These are authentic," he whispered. "What?" Father snapped, snatching at the papers. "How?" "She didn't trust you," I said gently. "She trusted me. Transferred every property into a trust mine to manage. You've been living in my houses, drinking my scotch, toasting my walls." The room inhaled one collective gasp, and there it was, the taste of truth, metallic and sweet. Caleb's smirk wavered. "You're bluffing." "Oh, sweetheart," I said. "I've got receipts that could wallpaper this place." He took a step toward me, heat rising off him. "You can't." "I already did." Cameras clicked. Guests whispered. History rewrote itself in real time. Father's expression stiffened into disbelief. "Why?" he hissed. "Why wait?" I smiled. "Because timing is everything. Your lie needed witnesses." Outside, thunder rolled. Perfect, cinematic thunder, the sky agreeing with me for once. Caleb thought the envelope was my weapon. He hadn't seen the second file, the one that proves just how low he'd gone. And when it drops, no storm will be loud enough to drown him. Thunder rolled outside, the sky finally agreeing with me. Inside, silence reigned. Caleb's jaw clenched. Then came a brittle laugh. "Nice theatrics, sis, but you forgot one thing." He pulled a folded paper from his jacket, grin already loaded. "Power of attorney. Grandma signed it 2 days before she died. Gives me everything." Gasps rippled through the room. Even Marcus, the lawyer, hesitated before taking the page. "Signature looks valid," he murmured. Father's shoulders loosened. That old smirk returned. "I told you, Megan," he said. "Bloodline knows its place." I took the document, scanning the date. "October 14th? "Yeah," Caleb said, Smug. Right, 2 days before she passed. My tone stayed light, almost conversational, while she was intubated, sedated, physically restrained. The temperature dropped 10 degrees. She couldn't hold a pen, let alone sign this, which makes that signature. I looked at Marcus. A felony. A projector flicked on. Hospital footage flooded the wall. Grandma under ventilator hum. Timestamp October 14th. No one moved. Then Marcus stepped back, ghost pale. This is incontrovertible. He dropped the forgery. I can't be part of this. Father turned to Caleb. You forged. I had debts. Caleb shouted. $500,000. I used the estate as collateral. They're coming tonight. For a moment, even the chandeliers seemed to hold their light. Then engines growled up the drive, black SUVs, right on cue. You'll sign it back, Father hissed. He's your brother. For years I covered his wreckage, I said quietly. That account is closed. Headlights flared through the windows. Guests scattered. Phones captured pandemonium. I turned to Marcus. Call the authorities. He nodded, already dialing. Father's grandeur fractured into pure fear. For a heartbeat, pity brushed my chest. Then it was gone. I told you I'd make it right, I said. Consider the debt repaid. I walked past Caleb's shouts, through the doors, into rain that smelled of iron and new beginnings. Freedom, it turned out, had a taste after all. Empires never fall quietly. They echo. And if you listen close, the echo spells my name. Rain threads off the mansion's roof like silver wire. Police lights pulse against wet marble. A single light still burns in Mrs. Higgins's cottage. Inside my small apartment, a kettle whistles. I pour cheap wine into a chipped mug habit more than ceremony. News anchors talk about embezzlement charges, frozen assets, the Ridgewater collapse. I just listen to the static between their words. Freedom isn't loud. It hums. Steady. Electrical. Alive. Out the window, the lake mirrors lightning. Black glass waiting for sunrise. Morning came slow gray, almost kind. The Ridgewater mansion still smoked on the horizon, crime scene tape glowing yellow in drizzle. The news called it the Ridgewater Fall because headlines crave drama. I sipped cheap wine from a mugwarm, faintly metallic and watched. Peace smelled like rain and bleach. Down the street, reporters rehearsed moral outrage. I just breathed. Freedom isn't loud. It hums, soft as a machine cooling after overwork. Inside, boxes waited, half-packed. A kettle hissed beside a single photograph. Grandma Eleanor and me on the dock, her arm around my shoulders, quietly promising something better. Old habits twitched, half waiting for orders that would never come. On the muted TV, Caleb's face appeared, handcuffed, hollow-eyed. Father followed, framed by agents, his expression the pale math of disbelief. I didn't cheer. I didn't cry. Justice isn't a victory march. It's a quiet ledger, finding balance. Down by the lake, Mrs. Higgins's cottage glowed. She never left, said the ghosts-like company. I brought her groceries. She opened the door before I knocked. About time you came home, she rasped, equal parts gravel and honey. We ate soup in silence. Between spoon clinks, she asked, So what now, girl? I looked through the fogged window. Built something small, I said. Something mine. The storm had scrubbed the sky clean. The water was mirror still. For the first time, my reflection wasn't borrowed. I poured the last of the wine into her chipped teacup. To new foundations. She chuckled, and thicker walls. We drank. Later, alone again, I locked the door, turned off the lamp, and let the dark settle like a calm tide. The sirens across the lake dwindled to memory. Freedom, it turned out, wasn't sweet or bitter. It was quiet, heavy, honest. I'd kept the promise, healed the ledger, and maybe, finally, could start living outside the echo. Every legacy leaves ruins. What you build in the rubble decides the next empire. Dusk again. The second evening since everything fell. The rain finally stopped. Steam rose off the lake like breath. Inside my apartment, the boxes are gone. The walls bare, but clean. The ledger is closed. I light one candle, nothing fancy, just wax and calm flame, set Grandma's photograph beside it. Her smile catches the glow. For a moment, it feels like permission. I open a new notebook, blank as snow. No family crest on the cover, no embossed name-only space. One line of ink, day 1. Outside, sirens have become birds. The wind carries the smell of pine instead of smoke. Somewhere across the water, a hammer strikes, someone rebuilding, or maybe just living. I raise the mug, half wine, half tea, and whisper to no one, let the ruins rest. The candle flickers. The frame widens. The lake mirrors the last light of evening glass, calm, infinite. Every legacy leaves ruins. The question is never who burned the castle, it's who learned how to build again. If stories like the Ridgewater Fall hit close to home about power, survival, and starting over, subscribe to Revenge Diary. That's where we keep unpacking the quiet storms behind polished doors. Hit the button, share this with anyone who's ever been underestimated, and let them know the echo doesn't have to be your ending.